Welcome back everybody, and what I'm going to be talking about today then is this bit of kit here, which is the 35 litre Daysack from Tywi Tactical. Okay then, so Tywi Tactical, who are they? What do they do? Now, they're a family run business based in Wales, up in the mountains. The guy that runs it, Caleb, is a very knowledgeable guy. So he's a paramedic. He also serves in the reserves in the British Army. And his background is in that medical side, basically. He has actually turned his hand, he's only been going for a couple of years, to making his own gear. And he's very passionate about making good quality gear. And basically, I met him at the Bug Out meet over in Mid Wales, in Bilf Wales, earlier this year. And he asked me if I'd be interested in trialling one of his bits of kit. And being a total kit whore, I said yes, obviously. And what I thought was, because he makes his kit in lots of different interesting camouflages and stuff, not just in your boring multicam and DPM, he makes it in lots of different interesting colours and camouflage patterns. I thought, why not get him to make me one as a custom build for the upcoming SERE challenge that I was just about to take part in. So that's what I did. And the result of that then is this little bad boy here, which, as you can see, is made in this rather sexy Multicam Tropic. So nice bit of kit. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to run through from top to toe all the features and functions of the Daysack. Then I'll give what I see as the pros and cons of the Daysack, and then I'll do a summary at the end. So let's dive into it. Okay then, the first thing you're probably going to recognise about this pack then is it's relatively similar in layout to the Berghaus Monroe. However, there's lots of things within this bag that will make it stand out differently from that rucksack. Some of them are obvious, some of them not so much. As mentioned a second ago, this was a custom build, so I actually gave him direction on what I wanted with lots of different stuff within the Daysack, and I'll go through that as we talk through. So then, the material itself then, this is made from 500D Cordura, which I find to be a perfect kind of blend of the right type of materials, as in it's not too heavyweight, it's not too lightweight, it's really good for endurance, you know, it's not going to tear easily, that sort of thing. All the materials are absolutely top notch, okay? So we'll say that from the start. You've got ITW buckles there, the quick release buckles there. You can hear that just snap into place nice and solidly. You've got the zips. These are great zips as well, real quality zips and stuff. And all the actual workmanship, once you get into the detail and look at this, is absolutely top notch. And you'd expect that really from someone that's passionate about their gear and cares about the quality. And it really does show throughout. So the top flap then. What we've got is a traditional top flap lid. Now, Caleb actually makes them with the flaps that basically just stick straight out like this, that are floppy, pre-made. That's not my thing. I don't like that at all. I think it's a bit pointless. But I know a lot of the younger lads nowadays like it because it makes them look alley, because it makes it look like they've got an old Monroe where all the elastics failed and they've had it for years and all that stuff. And personally, I think that's alley for alleyness sakes. Unfortunately, that's what the customer wants, so that's what he makes. But he also makes this more traditional type design where it's like a bucket top lid, which I much prefer, because if you are top flapping anything, you can still get it underneath that top flap, and this will curve round and help protect it and keep it in place better than one that's just a total, you know, floppy design. So top lid then has got two ports on that are covered by elastic there for either antennas or for hydration hoses. Talk a bit more about those in a minute. You've then got a Velcro field on the top here for putting your morale patches and stuff. And he very nicely made me one of my patches, with my design on, in Multicam Tropic as well, which matches the Daysack perfectly. And I thought it was a very nice touch, so thanks, Caleb. You've then got an admin pouch here. You see there, I've just chucked my car keys, my wallet and stuff, and there's some rations and all that in there. But you can use that, you know, for your smaller items. I wouldn't be cutting around in the field normally when I exercise anyway with my keys, but they're in there because I've just driven out here to where I am today. But anyway, really good quality zip. It's got two zip pulls on it. Unlike the Berghaus one, it's only got one, so you can centralise the zip if need be. And if there's something in there you need to get to quickly, so say med kit or a head torch or whatever, you can have them in the centre and just pull them out like so. Or if one failed, for whatever reason, you can always close it with the other one, can't you? And then open it with the same one. They've got this shrink wrap rubber on the actual cords of the zipper as well, so that makes it really easy, really positive grip on that, and a nice size. You see there, that's a hand size piece of cord there to actually grip that and open it and close it. So that's the top flap, closed, as I said, by two quality buckles there, two ITW buckles. And what he's done, I think, is he's colour matched these really, really nicely to the rest of the pack. Okay, so instead of them being black and kind of showing up, they've colour matched them nicely. Coming down slightly from there, then you've got a water bottle pouch on the back here, or you could use that pouch for anything, but what I've done for demo purposes, I've put in an issue 58 water bottle in there with one of the mugs there, just to show you that that it fits that nicely. And personally, that's something I like. I actually asked them to fit that for me. What he normally does is put Mollet webbing across the back, or Powell's webbing, and then you've got the option of adding pouches, but I always like having that on anyway, so I asked them to just permanently fix it. That's got a Velcro field on it as well there, so you can tuck that inside and use that as a quick way of shutting the pouch, or if the buckle got broken or whatever. And if you don't want it, you've got the silencer patch there to just keep it nice and quiet. Okay, side of the Daysack then. So what we've got here then is we've got a nice mesh pocket. Now this is the sort of thing that quite often you have to have tailored on post buying something like a Monroe, but on Caleb's Daysacks they're already on, so that's brilliant. And these, I love these mesh pockets, they're absolutely great, because the good thing is they're low profile, so you know, if you don't need them, they squash flat and they don't really add much weight to the Daysack at all. But if you need to stuff things in there, and you know, I've always got my brew with me, and that fits perfectly inside that mesh pouch. Loads of space still, get loads more stuff in there, and that's, you know, easily accessible. Instead of having to go inside the Daysack, it's there ready to go. So firstly, accessibility, and secondly, expanding what you can actually carry. So these are great, these mesh pouches, and they expand out really big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo these compression straps and show you. Look how big that is, flipping massive. Really, you know, decent size, really good size that. Okay, so if you were in need of expanding the capacity of your pack, then that's a great option. So compression side straps then, does what they say on the tin, it compresses these down. You can see these are slightly loose because I'm used to having stuff in there like my mug, like I just mentioned. Again, colour match buckles, and they're not fixed with a ladder lock type buckle. You know, you've got the option of opening it up nice and quickly and then compressing it down. And what's really nice then is these little strap tidies. So you've got all these Velcro strap tidies attached to the end of the straps, which means you can tidy them away nice, neat and tidy, like so. So great. Exactly the same on the other side then. You've got the mesh pocket there, and then you've got the two compression straps there and there. So really good. Okay then, what I'm going to do is going to flip it around and have a look at the other side. So then, the actual back of the Daysack. Now you can see all this mesh here, really, really nice and comfortable, okay? Lovely bit of padding there, and the mesh there, you know, it's going to help disperse any sweat if you were sweating through this. Shoulder straps themselves then, they're actually quite wide, aren't they? If you look at them there, they're actually wider than what you find on most Daysacks this kind of size. I'll talk about those a little bit later at the end, but they were very comfortable, these, okay, really comfortable. Caleb normally puts on here, puts a quick release buckle so you can release the Daysack quickly. Now, personally, I find that slipping a strap up like that and just dumping it off one shoulder is probably just as quick. And I'd rather have this type of buckle, this like traditional style buckle, because I just find it a little bit easier to work with, you know, tightening and loose and that sort of thing. So I asked him to put those on specifically. Chest strap then, you've got a very sturdy, suitable chest strap there then. I think that's 25mm web in there, I'm not wrong, which is great because some of the chest straps you get on Daysacks this kind of size, like on some of the camelback ones, they come with a thinner strap, and I have had one break on me before, so not ideal, but these ones are brilliant. That's going to do the job definite for a Daysack this size, so that's great. Chest straps are great when you're wearing body armour, because the shoulder straps can tend to creep away and kind of slip off your shoulders a little bit. So these are good for keeping your Daysack secure on your back and not slipping off. We've also got 2 elastics here, which is great for your hydration tube coming out from your bladder, just keeping it nice and secure, and you can actually move them up and down the actual shoulder strap. On top here then, what I've got is a grab handle. Now, I will mention it more at the end, but this is one of the only things on the Daysack that I'm not super impressed with, because what I found is this kind of flopped against my neck. I found it a little bit annoying, and also getting your hand in that, you know, it's not as easy to grab as if it was sewn, say, here and here, and it was like a loop like that as opposed to like that. So, you know, it works, but you could probably improve on that a little bit. So going inside the Daysack, and this is where it's going to change a little bit. So open it up and you're going to get a little surprise. So instead of it being the usual type with a drawstring that you pull, guess what? There's a zip. And, you know, this is the first time I've had this kind of Daysack with a top flap that's got a zip opening and closure. Now, Caleb put this on because of his background with mountain rescue and emergency services, because what he wanted is, instead of having to faff around with a draw cord and then potentially another draw cord like you get in most packs, he wanted something you can just basically go like that with and then get into his medical supplies. Now, that's not a bad idea at all. It's got pros and cons to it. Now, I'll talk about those at the end and more, but you are limited to what you can put into this, as opposed to a drawstring where you can keep loading more kit in. And like I say, there's a pros and cons to that. So really good quality zip. It's got like a rubberized texture, so it's like a weather resistant zip. Going inside the Daysack then, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out what I've got in here at the moment, and just to show you the kind of capacity of what we've got. So I've got a Daysack liner, and you can see that there's much more space in here, right? You can actually get more in here than what I've got packed. So I've got a basher with bungees and cords all attached. I've got a very decent waterproof jacket, not the most compact one either, but that's an Arc'teryx Alpha jacket, good bit of kit. And then I've got a warm jacket, again that's an Arc'teryx one. And then I've actually got a poncho liner in there as well, okay? So that's one of the Zero Foxtrot ones in the US Marine World War II camouflage. So a fair bit of kit in there, okay? It's a 35 litre Daysack, and yeah, I've just pulled out a Wooby, as the Americans would call it, a poncho liner. I've got a warm jacket, a waterproof jacket, and a poncho, okay? So, and I've got space in it. So plenty of space in this pack for all your kind of patrolling needs and assault pack needs. Okay, looking inside the Daysack there then, what we've got is we've got a sleeve at the back. We're putting a bladder in. There's a Velcro closure strap on there, so you can get your camelback in there, or whatever you want, your hydration pack. Obviously you could use that for something like a notebook, tough book type thing in there as well, if you're using this for just walking around camp, or you know, for various signals kit that you've got nowadays as well. They actually do use that sort of thing as well. Back here then, what we've got, there's a stiffener board inside here, okay? So that goes all the way against the back, and that helps stabilise the load. I'm not a big fan of Daysacks that don't have these in, and I specifically said to Caleb I want to have a stiffening plate in there, because I found that if you've got weight, a lot of weight in a Daysack, then without that, if this is just bendy, you know, if it's got like a bendy back, if it's just flexible, what it does is it balls up against your back, and also the weight tends to sit at the bottom. It kind of just makes its way to the bottom, and it's not very comfortable. So if you've got a stiffener in there, it's much better for carrying weight within a Daysack. And you know, you might say this is only 35 litres, how much weight are you going to put in it? Well, when we were working in Afghanistan, our Daysacks were freaking heavy, okay? Very heavy, because we're carrying support weapons ammunition, so link for GPMGs, mortar rounds for the 60mm mortar. We're carrying at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 litres of water, and that's before you've put anything else in, so things like radio batteries, radios, etc. So a Daysack could weigh anything up to sort of 50 pound, or even more possibly. So it definitely needs to be sturdy, and it needs to be able to carry the weight without hurting your back, okay? And I could guarantee you, well, I'd like to say I could guarantee you that this would do the job. Looking at the base of the pack then, what you've got is a grommet inside there, and then it's covered by a piece of webbing, which is a really good idea, I think, because it's important to have the grommets, you know, to let water out if you do have something, say if you have a burst water bladder, or if it's raining and the water's got inside somehow. So it needs to be able to drain, but what this does is it helps prevent any debris from getting inside. And you've got exactly the same on the water bottle pouch just there too. Right then, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to talk through the pros and cons as I see it of this bag, of this pack. Right then, so first one, pros. Check out that camouflage. There's not many bags that you can get, at the moment at least, in Multicam Tropic. There's also not that many that you can get in ATACs or Tiger Stripe. And there's loads of other patterns that Caleb does these in, okay? So I'm not sure what the procedure is. I think you have to ask him by request to get them made, but he makes packs in lots of really interesting camouflage patterns, which is mega. You know, it's nice to have a bit of choice, isn't it? Second one then, second pro, is the quality of this pack is absolutely brilliant. I have put this through his paces for a few months now, and I've found it to be absolutely spot on. There's nothing even slightly out of place. There's no loose threads on it. I can see all the stitching is absolutely bang on. The material, you can just feel and tell the materials are great. All the buckles, the zips, everything, okay? So that's another absolute pro. Comfort then. Comfort of the pack is my third pro. So these shoulder straps here, nice and wide, really comfy. The back's really comfy. The chest strap does a great job, and it just carries the load really well. So that's a definite third pro of this pack. Fourth pro then is the size. 35 litres. I know, yes, there's lots of bags out there that's 35 litres. However, this one here, you can actually compress it down, or you can expand it out, okay? So it's got a perfect size for doing something like an assault, where you're just going to need the basics on you, so water, ammunition, and a few other tools. Or you could potentially do a couple of nights out in the summer at least with this bag, okay? Because of the fact that it expands out, you could get all your rations and stuff, maybe in the side pouches. You could definitely get a lightweight sleeping bag inside, and your shelter system, you know, that sort of kit. So the size of it and the fact that it compresses and expands out is definitely another definite pro for me. Okay, I'm going to go into the cons then. So, a couple of cons that I have about this pack, and there's nothing major, there's no showstoppers. First one I'll say then is, even though these are really comfortable, these shoulder straps, they're kind of wide, all right? I mean, I have got a wide neck, I know that, right? But I do find they're a little bit kind of overkill for this size of pouch, size of pack. So one of my recommendations, and I did give feedback to Caleb at Tywi Tactical, was I would have preferred these to be more of a traditional sort of size, not quite as wide as that. Second one, which is kind of attached, well, definitely attached, is these elastics here. They're great for, you know, helping manage your hoses and cables for your water bladder or for your radio, but they're not actually stitched down. So at the end of the SERE challenge, I noticed that they both just dropped off like that. Okay, so that's not ideal. it's not going to hurt you, is it? It's not going to cause you any major dramas. But when you want to use them, they want to be in the right place, don't they? So I would have preferred these to either be stitched down or to be secured underneath this webbing here, you know, and actually stitched after that, something like that. Okay, next con then is the grab handle. I've already mentioned it. Not really a big fan of that grab handle. It could definitely do with being stitched down here and here or something else, so it's easier. Because I mean, look at my hand there. Initially I've just got to get my couple of fingers in and then grab it like this, which isn't, you know, it's no showstopper, but it's not the best. And I also found it really annoying flopping against my neck, so I had to basically stuff it down like that once it was on my back. All right, next one then, really minor one, really minor one, is I would have preferred a loop of webbing here, like a single PALS piece of webbing stitched onto the pack, and then this strap going through it. Because once you undo these straps here, look what happens. They just flop to the floor, okay? Which means, you know, at night you've got to search around to try to find that strap, you know, and maybe untwist it before you buckle it back up. And secondly, once it's on the floor, it's mixed in amongst all the mud and everything that's on the floor potentially, and you could potentially stand on it as well and break that buckle. If you had a piece of web in there, it'd just stop there, wouldn't it? And I think that'd be a great little addition. Nothing major, but you know, just a little point. And the last one then is, and I mentioned during the video, is this zip here, okay? Now, it is really a good way of making it quick access, fast access to the pack, and simple. However, there's two things that could potentially, you know, detract a little bit by putting this zip on. Firstly, if you did break the zip, okay, it kind of screws the pack up a bit, doesn't it? It's going to be a big open flipping top. You could, you know, if one broke, you could potentially use the other, like I mentioned with a top flap, but zips, you know, can fail. The other one is you've got a finite amount of space here now by putting a zip on. If you have a tie off, you could actually overload the pack if you need to. You know, you don't want to plan on doing that, but you could potentially put more kit in the pack and overload it if required. That could also be seen as a positive though, couldn't it? Because it means that you can't stuff a load of crap in here that you don't need, okay? And what I find is if you've got a pack that's limited to whatever literage, whatever size, then it kind of makes you pack lighter, you know, you don't just pack a load of junk in there. But yeah, just a minor point. Like I say, so it's more food for thought and a consideration more than anything. But that's my thoughts on this pack here then. So this is the 35 litre pack from Tywi Tactical. They've got Instagram and they're on Twitter as well, or X as it's called now. So check them out. It's a small business and he makes these pretty much to order. Okay, you can get them with PALS webbing all over, you can get without this on and various other things. So because of that, the price does reflect the fact that he does this, you know, on his own. It's a small company, so these aren't cheap, okay? I think that the standard price, if I remember right, is £190 for one of these Daysacks. Now, that's not the most expensive out there. There's far more expensive than that, but it's also not the cheapest. So, you know, up to you whether you think they're worth the money. Personally, I would definitely endorse this because it's a nice bit of kit and you can get all the whistles and bells put on as you want it, as opposed to as it comes. Check them out, Tywi Tactical. Check them out on Twitter and on Instagram. Give them a like and a share and all that sort of stuff. Check out what they've got to offer. They've got lots of interesting stuff. That's my thoughts on this pack. After seeing it then, what do you guys think of it? And stand by for the upcoming SERE challenge that's going to be on the SERE challenge channel on YouTube in January, where I'll be using this bit of kit in the field. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What Daysack do you use? Do you think you'd be able to use one of these, or do you think you'd like to use one of these in what you do, whether it's just outdoor stuff or whether it's in the military? You know, put a comment below and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, stay prepared.